What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another game discussion with Bring the Thunder podcast. Today we got myself, Joe. We got Landon at Thunder Fan Zone and Thunder Talk himself, Satveer. Um, guys, I did the preview to this game, and I was like, you know what? The Patriots have been playing some pretty good offense, some pretty good ball. The star players have been playing well. Um, I was thinking a close game, and then especially when Hartenstein doesn't come out to play the second half, I'm like, oh, okay, this gonna be a close one. Not even close. I was wrong again. I've been wrong multiple times now. I'm not really sure what to say anymore. I mean, this team is unbelievable. They're winning by 20 every night. Doesn't matter who they're playing. The Pacers have been playing the best basketball they've been playing all season long. Halliburton's been playing the best he's played all season long in a down year. They have Siakam, who's solid. They have Turner. They got Nemhard. They got a bunch of different players. Didn't matter. Didn't matter again. I'll leave the floor to you guys right now.
Didn't the Pacers just put like 150 on a team recently?
162.
160. Yeah,
on
160.
Washington.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. For them to do that and then, come in. I said for one of our keys here was to hold them under 110, which we held them to 111 without a center in the second half. For us to just put 132 on their head as well, without both of our centers, without Aaron Wiggins, I mean, the show just keeps going.
Hey, bro, don't forget about Carlson here.
Yeah, no, Carlson got some early minutes, nice 4 points, but it just keeps going in the same trend. Okay, 2 men down, 2 men step up. Then we had Isaiah Joe with 19 off the bench, outstanding game. Kenneth Williams keeps doing what he's doing, 10 points off the bench. And then, our normal guys, Shea with 33, 7, and 8. Not as efficient as we've seen. We've kind of seen him in a little bit of a slump, if you want to call it, but he still put up 30 every night and with a plus 17. So I'll take that 10 times out of 10. Lou Dort, hell of a game, 6 6 of 7, 22 points. J-Dubs still coming along back from injury, but had a nice 18 and 6 on 50%. Can't complain there. And the main guy I kind of want to focus on again tonight is Casey Wallace, man. I mean, just big-time shots, big-time threes, gets to the rim. Kind of, he was having trouble, like, getting to the rim, making plays by himself, but he's evolved into a whole different level of player this year, and you add in his defense. I mean, what a player for OKC to have.
Yeah, we definitely won that Derek Lively trade. I know Mavs fans always get on us about that trade, and I just think it's hilarious that they think they won that 1-to-1 player trade when Casey Wallace is top 10 defensive guard, and then on top of that, his offensive game is just elevating slowly, especially as his handle's getting better and better. Like, if he can turn into our lead guard coming off the bench and really provide that, like, ball handling, that'll take this team really, really far. And he's the guy that I'm always excited to watch because he's always in the right spots, offensively and defensively, and that's really hard to find. Between how good our roster is, I would say he's probably one of the best guys at just being at the right spots at the right times.
Yep, 100%. And then, I mean, not the flashy stuff, but Caruso with 6 points, 5 rebounds, gets in plus 22. Plus 22. That's the number I like focusing on with Caruso because he's not a guy who's going to go out there and get you 20 points or 8 steals. Well, he might get 8 steals, but when he comes into the game, it's just a different level. It's just a super smart way of basketball, and we play super efficient with him on the floor, especially when he's hitting his shots. One night he could have 15 all threes. The next he could go 4 points. The next he could have 2 points, but his plus minus will still be so high because just plays the perfect basketball that OKC is looking for. What an ad! And I've seen this come up within the last couple of weeks, especially with the way Josh Giddey's been playing. They're like, oh, who won the trade? And the immediate take for most OKC people were both teams won the trade. It's just 2 different needs from teams. The Bulls need a guy like Giddey to get their offense going. We need a guy who can match up against anyone in Alex Caruso and could consistently, pretty consistently hit corner threes and wing threes. Perfect win-win scenario for both teams.
We don't even need him to hit consistent 3-point shots. We need him in the big moments to hit consistent 3-point shots. That's what he's really here for. Like, he could go 0-4 in the first 3 quarters, and as long as he's hitting in the fourth quarter when we really need him, that's all that matters. And so far from what I've seen, like, he's going to be that guy for us. So
exactly. And then with you said that, the big time threes, the big, timely shots came the other night. It's a perfect example in LA against the Clippers. Hits that big corner three late in the fourth quarter, pretty much seals the deal. He had the perfect foul with like 0.7 left on the clock when we were up by 3. So, they had to purposely miss the second free throw, and there was no time left to do anything with it anyway. I mean, the guy just had super high IQ on the floor, and the team's deep, man. It's really hard to compete with them, especially like they go on these on these little runs, right? It was a close game throughout the first half, and then they finish the first half with the 5 small ball lineup. They went up by 12, and then you look into the third quarter, they're up by 20, and the rest of the game was cake. I mean, I believe they won the third quarter by 10, won the second quarter, if I'm not mistaken, by a large margin, and that's where they kind of just take those games from you. It's kind of like reminiscent of the Golden State Warriors. What they would do in the third quarter is, it's a close game in the first half, but right when that third quarter hit, game was over. It's kind of what OKC's been doing.
I said it in my Instagram caption. I was expecting the Pacers to have that run at the end where they kind of close the gap and force the Thunder to put the pressure or to turn the pressure up and pull away from the Pacers, but the Pacers just kind of never made that run. I mean, the Thunder just kept their foot on the gas and kept plugging away, and Pacers just never managed to close it.
To add to this, I don't think any of those guys hit 20 points on the other side, right? Like, they're all double digits, but they didn't have anyone really have a big game.
Nobody 20 points. Halliburton was the top scorer with 18.
Exactly.
Plus minus, everyone was in negatives besides their scrubs that came in at the end too. They were all +1, but that's just because it's scrub up minutes.
Right.
Yeah. I think from that perspective, like we said this last game as well, with Lou Dort should be winning DPOY. At least he has a case for it. Just no centers on the court, and they're not able to have penetration into the paint the way they should. This team is just impressing me every game in the same type of fashion. But the fact that they can do it so consistently, leading up into the playoffs, is the best sign. I mean, I thought we'd have some let up. I think me and Joe were alluding to it, where these guys came out of the All-Star break a little, relaxed, and we needed them to focus up. And then eventually they did after like 4 or 5 games. And from there, we've been cakewalking teams. I mean, At this point, there's some Thunder fans out there that are getting tired of the winning. Of course, obviously we wouldn't get tired of something like that, but it can get boring when you're this successful and blowing out teams and you can't even really watch the fourth quarters.
Right. When you're consistently beating teams by 20, and by the end by the time the fourth quarter starts, the game's over. Yeah, it could get a little bit boring is the word, but I'm loving it because, I'm an OKC guy through and through, and we deserve this. It was a long time coming, and just to be this good is unbelievable. And like I said during my preview, I was pointing out like some ways that the Pacers could have beat us tonight. We had some guys out, and I wasn't thinking Hartenstein would be out in the second half, but that didn't seem to matter at all. We won our second and third quarters by 10, so that's a 20 margin. That's where the game ends right there. But I was saying, like, we just need to stop the Pacers from getting into a groove. If Halliburton shooting threes and he's running the whole team and they're going up and down the floor, that's the way they want to play. We have to play at our own pace.
The Thunder,
we do it.
The way the Thunder play defense is a nightmare matchup for Halliburton. The way Halliburton plays, to be honest.
Yeah.
Especially in that first game, I don't think he scored more than 5 points against us when we played them in December.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a horrible game the first round, so I didn't expect him to play that much better. And then also Lou Dort was healthy, so didn't expect him to go off anyways.
Right. Right. And I was reading, I don't have them in front of me anymore, but on the preview, I was reading, I mean, Halliburton's been going nuts. I mean, he had 24 and 8 or something. He had like 15 and 16.
No, he's been solid recently.
He's been playing like he was last year. And then you just run into a team with a Lou Dort, with a Cason Wallace, with an Alex Caruso, with a Shea, with a Dub, with everybody. It's just consistently every night, teams that are guard heavy get demolished by this OKC team.
And we didn't just beat them by 20 straight up. We beat them by 20 with some experimentation thrown in. We threw out Carlson late in the first quarter, Dylan Jones early in the second quarter, and we closed out the first half with a 5-guard lineup. We had Shea, Caruso, Wallace, Dort, and J-Dub all on the court at the same time.
And they took off. They went on a run. And then, yeah, like you said, we were experimenting. And then with that, Hartenstein goes down. By the way, right now it's just hip soreness. So another hip injury strikes Oklahoma City. But hopefully it's nothing too crazy. Rest him a few games. We should be all right.
I said on my story, just glad it's not a break, a bruise, a sprain, or a strain or something like that. You don't want that heading into the playoffs. He's crucial.
Yeah, I mean, that's Chet with a hip injury, Caruso with a hip injury, J-Dub with a hip injury, and now Hartenstein. So 4 players this year with hip injuries. It's like we're 80 years old. It's kind of ironic. We're like the second youngest team in the NBA. But anyway,
hipitis.
Yeah, we'll call it hipitis. We could get to some of these YouTube comments here. I like this one. We'll start off with Hotspot Casino. He says, I'll tell you what, if Cason was 6'6", he would be a problem. Cason's already a problem, but let me tell you, if Cason was 6'6", that would be an issue for a lot of teams, man.
I think he's like 6'3" with like really long wingspan, and so like he feels like he's 6'6" anyways. Like every time the announcers are watching him play defense on the other casting side, they're always like, he feels like he's the 6th man on the roster. Like that's just causing mayhem.
Right.
And it's impressive when people are talking about a guy like him that, he's that level of a dog pretty much on the defensive end.
Right. I mean, the fact that, like you're saying, it's super impressive that he's starting to get real notice, especially on alternate broadcasts. And we have guys like Shea, Chet, Dub, Hartenstein. For him to get noticed, he's putting up big numbers and having a huge effect on the game. And we know that, but I think a lot of other teams are starting to realize that too now.
Yeah.
You can expect one. I mean, at this point, you can expect one dunk from him a game. The guy can just jump. I mean, I would argue he plays bigger than he is. He has a long wingspan, and he gets a lot of deflections, pokes off of that, and he also is ultra athletic for his size. The guy can just rim graze.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sapir.
I was gonna say I didn't realize his sneaky athleticism, but it's no longer sneaky when he's consistently doing something like this. Like we can no longer say it's sneaky athleticism. He has pure raw athleticism that we just maybe not had thought of pre-draft, but now that we've seen him develop other aspects of his game, and now he can incorporate driving to the rim and then turning it into dunks. We've seen him have some great posterizing dunks, and in general, like him even going for posters at his size.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a great touch at finishing towards the basket, but if he can start going for dunks like that, like it can energize the crowd, and just in general, it'll make him a lot more lethal. Like if he's in the corners and he starts doing what Lou Dort does, where he drives off the corners and starts dunking it, like that's another part of his game that he still has yet to unlock. I haven't seen him being utilized in that way because he's such a great corner shooter that he doesn't necessarily need to give up the same action that Lou Dort does. Like Lou Dort doesn't want to shoot such a high volume, so that's why he drives in off the corners at times, and they're closing out really hard on him. I'd love to start seeing Cason Wallace kind of do the same thing and start going for those corner posters.
Yeah, I think we're going to start seeing that as he keeps coming along. Landon, I want to go back to what you said. He's 6'3", but he kind of don't realize that he's that short, because a prime example is when he's guarding Jaylen Brown, and Jaylen Brown only has 10 points on the night and fouls out. Jaylen Brown's much bigger and much taller than Cason Wallace, and it you didn't even realize. Let's get to some more of these comments here.
Very disciplined defensively too.
Super disciplined. Yeah. You keep going on the defense.
I was gonna get to this YouTube comment.
Oh, go ahead.
The scary part is OKC is the youngest team in the NBA and is casually walking through teams on a nightly basis. Yeah, if we don't completely buy into the resting thing, which we definitely could, but I would kind of like momentum swinging our way going into the playoffs. This team could touch the 70 win mark. It's becoming more and more of a possibility.
Yeah, especially with. I don't even think they're going for the 70 win mark.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
gonna
it's
say. They're
They're,
not
it's
really
just
going for it. I just think it's
it's just
happening.
exactly. It's kind of just
it's a natural thing.
right. I mean, you're going to see them start to sit guys, which we kind of already have been. I mean, Chet tonight, Hartenstein will sit. J-Dub's been injured. Aaron Wiggins has been injured. They're still winning by 20. I mean, the Kings put up decent games against teams, and they got absolutely blown out in their own home. Like I said, the Pacers have been playing outstanding basketball as of late. They get blown out. The Celtics get beat
The
without
Grizzlies.
a bunch of teams. The Grizzlies get blown out. I mean, it's just it's kind of like Sapir said. It's not that they're going for it. It's just happening, and I think it's realistic. Now, am I saying that I really want this 70 win? No, I don't really care for it. I mean, it'd be nice to have, but I'd like them to stay healthy and be ready for the postseason. But I mean, in getting those 70 wins, that would mean that we took down Detroit again on national television on ESPN, and we took down the Lakers twice. So I wouldn't mind that either.
Yeah. A lot of people.
I want to comment on something real quick about being the youngest team. We're young as most college teams are that are playing March Madness right now.
Yep.
And the impact of the Thunder, I tweeted about this. We're kind of going national with these college teams having all their players in post-game interviews. One of the teams is having, the towel thing that the Thunder do. And I mean, just the impact of the team chemistry and the way and the style that we play in is so impactful to other teams that they're copying us. And I think that's really it's just impressive that a team like this is that young and can kind of have an impact. I've never really seen anything like that from any other team, like even veteran teams or anything like that. Like the cultural impact of the Thunder is something that's also like can't be, like it has to be highlighted more than anything.
Right. Culture. Go ahead, Lane.
I think some of that can be credited to Sam Presti. When he's drafting players, he doesn't look for just raw talent. He looks for guys with high character and who are going to be a plus to the team's chemistry. He doesn't want locker room killers. He doesn't want guys that will bring controversy. He just wants guys who are a good character and also can hoop on the court.
Yeah, I mean, so Presti's, a genius. We all know that, but it's so hard for everyone to buy in and be so super smart and play to their role like this OKC team has. Sapir said culture. That's a huge word. Sam Presti is another, main reason. Got to give credit to Coach Mark Daignault. I mean, you can't say that he doesn't have some type of an effect, but you also got to give credit to our leaders. I mean, Shea being one. I mean, I knew we were smart last year, but I think having Alex Caruso and Hartenstein come in kind of develop Kaysen and Chet. So it's really hard for, every single player to have a super high IQ and to play their role exactly how the team wants it. But OKC does that, and that's why they're so good. I'm not saying that they're not talented. I won't say they are the most talented team in the NBA, but they have great talent. But they do everything the right way. They play the right way. They're super smart. They bust their ass all night on the defensive side of the ball. That's why they're the best team in the NBA.
We utilize our talent to its maximum potential, and that's from Sam Presti building the roster the specific way he did and the vision that he wanted alongside Mark, who coaches a specific game plan. So yeah, like you said, I don't believe we have, from like a talent standpoint, the absolute best roster in that way. But the core of the group being J-Dub, Chet, and Shea, the leadership that they have on the team and the impact that they have on the guys, it just goes, throughout the organization. And that's what we really needed. And I think that's just kind of parallels from that 2012 team. When I think back to it, like they didn't have that cohesiveness, and they learned, like Presley learned from that. And, when he rebuilt a similar big three this time around, he went for guys that would gel the best together.
Yep.
And you can see, like, no amount of paydays or winning or losing is going to break these guys apart. Like, they're not going to be like, oh, I deserve a bigger bag or I deserve a bigger role or anything like that. That's not what they're really competing in terms of. They're just trying to play for each other. And that's a rare sight for the levels of talent that they all have. Like, Shea could easily be getting 36, 30, like 40 points a game if he wanted and didn't want to sit fourth quarters or didn't want to pass at all. 7-10 on most other teams as a first or second option. Even J-Dub, he's another guy that can go 23, 6-6 and be a first option at most other places. Yeah. But these guys want to play together.
Yeah, it can't be a one-man show. We saw that in the playoffs last year with the Celtics. They had other guys like White, Holiday, Pritchard, all those guys. And I also want to say, there's been a lot of controversy around that Josh Giddey trade. I don't want to get too deep into it. I personally think it was a 1-of-1. I think it's underestimated how much of an impact Caruso has on this team from a championship perspective. He's been there, done it before, and there's nothing more valuable than adding a guy who's done it before to a young team. There was a story that came out near the beginning of the season that he showed off his championship ring to the team and basically said, if everyone buys in, this can be you guys getting a ring. And I think that's huge for this team, getting a guy that's been there, done that, and he can give these younger guys advice on what it takes to get there, what it takes to win. Right,
adding some veteran leadership, and then also having our guys that aren't as young as they were a few years ago becoming leaders. I forgot to bring up Lou Dort on the defensive side of the ball. You can't tell me that every single one of those players goes out there and doesn't look up to Lou Dort on defense. If I was on his team and I was watching the way he guards number ones night in and night out, there is not one play taken off. I'm going to bust my ass too. I'm going to go crazy for that guy. I'm going to jump over screens. I'm going to hedge. I'm going to help out weak side because what he does for this team is unbelievable. And I think Caruso coming in as well and seeing him do that, I mean, perfect example for Cason Wallace. And Cason has he's risen to the occasion as well with that. And it also helps when your MVP and the MVP of the whole league does the same thing as well. He's busting his ass on defense.
It's also helped the development of J-Dub, who wasn't really known as like a defensive stopper. Like, he has the capabilities and he has the profile of a guy that can be that. But to have those other guys mentoring him alongside that, and then having the capabilities and the athleticism and the size and everything between him and Shea, having that mentorship around them, like, that's huge. Another person I wanted to highlight from this game specifically was Kenny Hustle. I believe he got 8 rebounds, if I'm not mistaken. Huge on the boards, right?
I can check you right now. Keep going. I'll stat check you in 1 second.
Yeah, stat check me real quick. But from what I recall, he was pretty big on the boards. Even
8
if it
rebounds,
wasn't
10 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists.
Exactly. I thought he had a really big game, and we hadn't highlighted him, and I wanted to. It was top of my mind to really bring him up. He's had a great string of games. He's a great veteran for us. Just cool, calm, collected, and for a guy that hasn't been in a role where he's won a championship, he's a championship level caliber guy that you can just plug and play. He doesn't care what minutes, when. You'll notice he's one of those guys off the bench where when his number's called, similar to like a Aaron Wiggins, his number's called, he's ready to rock and roll right then and there. And that's rare for a guy to always be ready, especially the type of role that he has.
I've called it next man up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, what OKC has is the next man up, ability, because we have so many players. But the thing is, like Sapphire said, we got guys who want to come in and make a difference on the game right away. Kenny will get in that game. He'll get the ball in the corner, and if he has 2 feet, he is lacing that shit. 2 years in a row coming into tonight, shooting the exact same 3-point percentage, of high 39, 39.7 or something like that. Outstanding shooting from a guy off the bench. And we guys got guys like Isaiah Joe who comes off the bench. If he's open, obviously he's shooting We got Aaron Wiggins, who's looking to create and shoot, which has been such a luxury for this team this year. Kaysen, Caruso. I mean, we just got guys that want it. You see a lot of teams in the playoffs. We got their bench players come in and they don't want to make the wrong play, and our guys want to make every play possible, and that's why they're not just winning. They are destroying the NBA. That's why.
I've kind of labeled.
They're taking the wins. They're not given these wins. They're taking the wins from the other teams.
Yeah, I've kind of labeled Kinrich as a player who just does what's needed. He does what's best for the team. He's not a guy who's going to put himself first. He doesn't really care about what goes down on the stat sheet. He's just going to come in and do whatever is needed. If that's rebounding, hustling, even shooting the three. He's been a consistent 3-point shooter this year. I'm pretty sure he's shooting threes at a pretty high rate.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, tonight just another absolute beauty of a game. I mean, not once do you think all right, actually, I want to bring up one more thing. Pretty sure Siakam, someone's fact checked me now, but I think he ended with 16 points or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you know how good?
No,
do you know how
11.
Good
11.
Oh, he had 11 points. Even worse. Do you know how we lost Hartenstein? You know how good of a defensive team you have to be to hold Pascal Siakam to 11 points total in the game when you're undersized? When you have no bigs? Siakam's no joke. He can put 30 on you.
He's an all-star caliber guy.
Yeah, and he's another guy who won a ring too.
Exactly.
Just unbelievable. But let's just look forward before we wrap this up here. Monday, home against Chicago on the 31st. Little Josh Giddey reunion should be fun. Expecting an absolute blowout. We'll see who's playing. We'll do our.
We're up to 9 wins in a row right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Last game was 8 wins. We're up to 9 wins right now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
We may be the second team to go on a 15-0 run, similar to the Cavaliers in one season.
If we do that, that means we get 70. So that would be nice, huh? But so home against the Bulls. We'll update you guys on injuries, all the good stuff. And then the real game I wanted to talk about was home against the Pistons on Wednesday. Pistons are going to be hungry. We had a tough game with them in their house. They're going to want a little bit of a revenge. They've been playing outstanding basketball as well. And they get a chance to shine on ESPN on a night game. So it'll be a tough one.
I don't know if Cade's going to be healthy for that because I'm pretty sure he picked up a calf injury. I don't know if he's still out, but
I'm pretty sure they still just won even without him. But they're fighting with the Pacers. It looks like that a 4-5 matchup with the Pacers and Pistons is basically locked up, and getting the home court advantage is huge in that 4-5 matchup. So they should be hungry to win against us.
Yeah, I think they'll still battle us really, really tough because they want that seeding. The other thing, before I forget, is something that's been consistent, and I want to bring this up for the MVP case, is no matter the injuries we've had all season long, the one guy that has remained consistent is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 33 points. It doesn't matter who's in the rotation, what the lineup looks like. If he's on the court, we're winning games, majority of them. I mean,
absolutely.
That's his MVP case right there. And I said that anytime anyone goes down, but the amount of consistent injuries we've had all season long, and
there's been one main.
Mark's coaching plan is have Shai healthy and out there and put 5 other guys around him.
Right.
And that's ridiculous.
There's been one constant throughout the year, and it's been Shai on the floor and Shai killing everybody. So, yeah, you're exactly right. He is the MVP. But other than that, unless you guys got any other comments?
No.
I feel like we touched everything. It's just kind of a broken record for the Thunder right now.
Yep. All right. So, well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in live. We will also have this up tomorrow. If you are enjoying our content, give us a follow on Instagram, subscribe to YouTube, like on YouTube. We're on X, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on everything.
Basically, any platform you can name, we're on it.
Mostly. But other than that, great.
Do that thing, Joe.
I forgot how it goes. How does it go again? Oh, I got it. Thunder up, baby. Let's go.